You're watching KTVA, the award-winning Anchorage 11 News at 6, where your forecast comes first.
Rescue crews respond after a helicopter crashes in the water near Fire Island. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Anchorage 11 News at 6. I'm Dave Stroh.
And I'm Mary Pay. We'll have that story in just a minute, but first, meteorologist Tom McPhail joins us now with our first forecast. Tom.
Well, thanks, Dave and Mary. We've got a snowy night going on. It's been snowing most of the day. Not a lot of accumulation in town because temperatures have held just at or above freezing, so mostly melting. But that's going to change, and there is an advisory out for 3 to 7 inches. That'll end by early morning tomorrow, so for the most part, what you see is going to continue through tonight. We'll see 3 to 5 inches, I think, around town because we're going to see some melting before it really starts to accumulate. But up on the hillside, could see as much as a foot, so about twice as much snow on the hillside. Temperatures will be dropping into the 20s, so expect a very slippery commute tomorrow morning. The sun will come out by tomorrow afternoon. Could see a lingering flurry. Temperatures are going to hover near that freezing mark, so not a lot of melting going on tomorrow. And then it looks like we see another storm, yet another one coming towards us after a decent day tomorrow with some sunshine. The clouds will thicken up again tomorrow night. And another storm comes at us Saturday night into Sunday with yet another shot of some snow. Things look like they get a little better, but colder towards the early part of next week. Dave and Mary?
Rescue crews are on the scene of a helicopter crash in Cook Inlet tonight. The Era Aviation helicopter crashed into the water about 2 miles east of Fire Island just after 4 this afternoon. It's believed that 5 people were on board at the time of the crash. Anchorage 11 reporter Kirk Chason joins us live from Era Aviation's at Stevens International with the latest. And Kirk, any change on the number of survivors?
No, Dave, still the number that we have is 2 survivors being pulled from the side of this accident, which happened again about 4 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to go ahead and pan over now, give you a look at the conditions under which all this happened. As you can see, visibility is poor. We are actually south of Ted Stevens International at Era headquarters. You are looking west over to Cook Inlet right now. And about half an hour ago, I did see the 2nd National Guard helicopter that was on the scene flying back from the site either towards Coolis Air Force Base, about 500 yards in front of me there, or possibly to Providence. We don't have word on that yet. Now, the helicopter that went down is an Era Aviation Bell 206 Long Ranger. There was a pilot, 4 passengers on board. Those passengers all being employees of the Federal Aviation Administration, which has a communications facility there on Fire Island. Again, this helicopter returning from Fire Island around 4 this afternoon, going down about 3/4 of a mile west of the runway here at Ted Stevens International. Now, about an hour ago, I spoke with Era Aviation President Chuck Johnson, who says they had made at least 1 other flight from here to Fire Island and back earlier in the day. But some people might question the wisdom of flying when it's weather like this. How would you characterize the decision to go ahead and fly?
Well, certainly the weather's marginal right now. The pilot on board has been flying in Alaska for well over 20 years, highly experienced, and you know, he was cleared to go out there by the tower. So
we're told it was what they call VFR, visual flight rules, at the time of this accident. Now, Chuck Johnson says the families of all the people involved, all the people who are on board, have been notified. We don't have any names to give you at this time. Now, this happened when Cook Inlet was, though, at high tide, rather low tide, and apparently that making for better visibility, a better chance to get down to the accident site could have helped in the rescue effort. Dave?
That is Kirk Chason reporting tonight. Let us all tell you that Era Aviation President Chuck Johnson says they have held this contract with the FAA for years. They fly year-round. Johnson could not tell us when the last time was that they'd had an accident. As you heard, there were 5 people on board the Era helicopter when it crashed in Cook Inlet, 4 FAA employees and the helicopter's pilot. Now, just about an hour ago, victims of the helicopter crash began arriving in Providence Hospital, and that is where we find Anchorage 11 reporter Alexandra Hackett. And Alexandra, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, Dave, that's right. 2 of the victims are now here and they're being treated for their injuries. A National Guard rescue helicopter dropped them off here just before 5 p.m. Standing here with me now to tell us more about that is Karina Jennings with Providence Hospital. Karina, where are the victims and what can you tell me about what happened, what's going on here today?
Well, right now we have 2 patients in our emergency room. They are currently being treated by physicians and staff at the emergency room, and they arrived here by Air National Guard helicopter about 4:45 this afternoon.
Can you tell me anything about their conditions?
Not at this time. We're awaiting the physician review of the patients.
Now, are there families here?
I'm not sure at this point. I know that the nurses and staff at the ER were in the process of contacting family, so I don't know where that process is at this time. So I'm not sure if they're here or not. I know that we're in the process of contacting them and that some of them were aware of it already.
Now, are you expecting any additional patients associated with this crash?
Not at this time.
Great, thank you very much. Not a lot of answers at this point, Dave. 2 victims in the ER. The families have been notified, and more crash victims, if there are any, will be taken to another hospital. That's all we have at this time. When we do have more information, we'll be sure to bring it to you as soon as possible. Dave.
And that is Alexandra Hackett at Providence Hospital tonight, and we will have more on this story tonight at 10 o'clock.
Tough new security measures do not just apply to the major airlines anymore. 2 commuter airlines are now going the extra mile to ensure your safety and the safety of its employees. Anchorage 11 reporter Jeff Turner joins us now from our newsroom with more on that story. Jeff.
Mary, Era Aviation and Penn Air are instituting new safety and security measures in the wake of the September 11th terrorist attacks, and they are not being required by the FAA. Both companies are just doing them on their own accord. Here's what you need to know. Era Aviation has trained its employees to use portable metal detectors on all its passengers before they enter the gate area, and that's not all.
Searching selectee, hand-carry baggage, limitations of the hand-carry baggage, which we started before the FAA required that with all the airlines, double ID checks.
All hand-carried baggage is hand-searched at the gate area. Both Era and Penn Air also have security measures that cannot be made public. Penn Air is not using metal detectors at Stevens International, only at airports outside of Anchorage. But the company's chief of operations says all passengers are checked out.
We have, within the company, of checking IDs with the FBI database on people that they're looking for whatever reason.
Passengers on Era and Penn Air flights are urged to arrive at the airport 1 hour before they normally would, so they have plenty of time to pass through security. Mary, both companies say that they may institute new and tougher security measures in the near future if they decide it's needed.
All right, thanks for that report, Jeff. Era says they did see a drop in business right after the terrorist attacks, but they're now flying near capacity. While much of the airline industry is in economic turmoil, things appear to be looking okay for Alaska Airlines. The company is reporting its quarterly profits are up 59% to $25 million. Alaska Airlines received $29 million in federal aid after the September 11th attacks. Unlike so many other companies, Alaska Airlines has not announced any layoffs and plans to resume its full flying schedule in February.
The slowing economy does not appear to be hurting GCI. Today, the telecommunications provider reported pre-tax third-quarter profits of $88 million. The company expects that after taxes and other expenses, profits will come out to $1.5 million for the third quarter. This marks the 7th consecutive quarter GCI has posted a profit. GCI employs nearly 800 Alaskans statewide. Here's a look at how the markets and local stocks fared in today's trading. The Dow lost 69 points today, ending at 9,163. The Nasdaq Composite gained 6 points to close at 1,652. As for stocks of local interest, Alaska Air fell nearly 0.4 of a point. BP lost more than 2 points. Northrim rose just more than 1/10 of a point, and Phillips fell more than 2 points. The price of North Slope crude fell 49 cents to close at $18.72 a barrel. Alaska's salmon don't make the grade. That's according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. A federal board has decided not to develop a set of organic standards for wild fish. The vote is considered a serious blow to Alaska's fishing industry. The term organic food means production should replicate healthy characteristics of natural food. Critics say wild fish shouldn't qualify as organic because their diet and possible exposure to contaminants can't be controlled.
United Way is trying to raise $9 million before Thanksgiving, and it's well on its way. The nonprofit organization thanked corporate donors this afternoon during a campaign rally at Phillips, Alaska. So far, they have raised more than $2 million. That's 23% of its goal.
United Way raises funds for 48 agencies throughout our community. That is certainly one of the roles that we are known for. United Way is also a community builder. United Way itself is out there making our community a better place by bringing resources together, be they human resources or financial resources, to really focus on community issues.
And most of the money has been raised through employee contributions.
A federal grand jury indicts the man accused of shooting a hole in the Trans-Alaska pipeline, but not for the act itself.
We'll tell you what happened when Anchorage 11 News at 6 continues.
You're watching the award-winning Anchorage 11 News at 6, where your forecast comes first. With Dave Sturrow, Barry Pay, and meteorologist Tom McPhail.
Welcome back. Anchorage police are now releasing the identity of a homeless man found dead in Fairview earlier this month.
Police say they found 51-year-old Mark Henry in a wooded area near 20th Avenue in Carlick back on October 6th. The state medical examiner says Henry died of natural causes.
An Anchorage man is facing child pornography charges tonight. Today, a federal grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against 22-year-old John Adams. Prosecutors say Adams had about 15,000 images of child pornography on his personal computer. They claim he used that computer to distribute images of child pornography as well. If convicted, he faces 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine.
The man accused of shooting a hole in the Trans-Alaska Pipeline was indicted by a federal grand jury today. Daniel Carson Lewis was indicted on a charge of unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. If convicted, he could face a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Earlier this week, Lewis pled innocent to state charges in connection with a shooting back on October 4th. The shooting caused the pipeline to spill more than 285,000 gallons of oil, and it's estimated it will cost millions of dollars to clean that up. His state trial is scheduled to begin in December.
And now for a check on what's ahead in weather, here's meteorologist Tom McPhail.
Well, just look out the window. It's going to continue to snow through tonight, and it's going to add up, too. I'll have the totals when Anchorage 11 News at 6 comes right back.
Anchorage 11 News, where your forecast comes first, wants to hear from you. Try our phone, fax, or email, or find us online at KTVA.com. Anchorage 11 News listens.
Welcome back, everyone. NASA scientists are now working with UAF researchers to map an Aleutian volcano.
The Okmok volcano on Umnak Island has erupted 4 times since the last time the island was mapped back in 1957. The researchers are using a side-looking imaging radar carried aboard a NASA jet to make detailed digital pictures of the island. Geologists are already using the images in their studies.
And now with a look at the local forecast, here's meteorologist Tom McPhail.
Well, no doubts about when it's going to snow this year. And the question is, when is it going to stop? Not tonight. It's going to continue to snow as it has most of the day. Not a lot of accumulation around town to this point because temperatures have been at or just above freezing, mostly melting on the roads. But that's going to change as well, and we are expecting some accumulation tonight. Here's the Doppler radar, and it's showing the snow pretty well inundating the area. You'll see a few breaks in it every now and again. Some of this is because the radar beam is shooting over the low-level moisture where some of this snow is coming from, but there is, in fact, snow falling most areas. Tonight we'll see snow, 3 to 5 inches possible in town. We've already had an inch or 2 of that already. We'll see it continue through the evening. Most of the accumulation in the evening hours. Could see twice that amount on the hillside, and it'll snow into the morning hours up there. So watch for that and give yourself the time. Temperatures below freezing means a slippery commute in the morning. Tomorrow, some morning flurries possible, most of those over on the east side of town. Then afternoon, sunny breaks. The winds are going to be a bit breezy out of the north, and temperatures near the freezing mark going to feel like a cold day. Right now, as it has been hanging most of the day, right around the freezing mark, no wind chill with calm winds out there, and the relative humidity, of course, high with precipitation falling out of the sky. The almanac for today, there it is, 32 and 28, only 4 degrees of movement in that mercury. The average this time of year, 39 degrees, the record 61. A warm day back in 1925. It was 2 at one time, so it can get very cold as well. Here's the current temperatures: 18 in Bettles, 5 up at Barrow. The cool spot overnight was 9 below at Arctic Village. Currently 12 degrees there, only in the 20s through the western interior till they get out on the coast. 30 at Bethel, 29 at Nome, 18 degrees up at Point Hope. 55 at Unalaska was the warm spot, and that occurred in the middle of the night last night. Things have been cooling down since, and generally in the 40s to near 50 down the Panhandle. It was 51 in Ketchikan today. Here's the Pacific satellite, and the latest storm has moved on into the Yukon, but it left a little remnant of a storm behind. We're watching this one. It's the very next system, and it's following the exact same track, going to come across the central Bering and then straight across the top of us by Saturday. As we put that into motion, you'll see how quickly that frontal system's already working its way towards the Alaska Peninsula, and those clouds sitting right over Prince William Sound. It's the remnants of a very weak little low kind of left behind by that low as it moved off into the Yukon, and that's just enough moisture to produce a little snow. We're also getting the cold air pushing that moisture up against the mountains, and it's just squeezing that moisture out of the air. Put it into motion, you'll see that the bands of white are beginning to move up towards the east, but it really doesn't take a whole lot here in terms of systems. when you're pushing the moisture in from the west up against the mountains to produce that snow. The Doppler radar pretty well shows that, and that nothing's moving. It's just sitting right here, and actually with the flow in from the west, it's developing the snow right over the top of the Anchorage Bowl. You'll also note that not snowing that hard to the north, and aside from Kenai, not a lot of snow falling down on the Kenai Peninsula either, and this is mostly rain over towards Prince William Sound, raining at both Valdez and Cordova. There's your current temperatures. It's already below freezing up in the valley, so slick spots up there. They'll see a couple of 3 or 4 inches out of this system. Snowing fairly heavily down at Kenai as well, but I don't think it's going to last all that much longer. 39 right now in Whittier. They had a little snow and rain as well. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. You'll see the sun come out by probably mid-morning down on the Kenai. On the western part, it will linger. Some snow will linger around Girdwood probably into the mid-morning hours, and the winds are going to pick up a bit. In fact, tonight there is a wind advisory out for the Girdwood down to Seward for strong westerly to northerly winds down through Resurrection Bay. Up in the valley, you'll see partly cloudy skies again. Could see a lingering flurry into the morning hours, but things will improve rapidly. But temperatures will stay below freezing tomorrow, so it's going to continue to be slippery. Temperatures again right around that freezing marker around town, 33 to 34 degrees, 35 down at Girdwood, already below freezing up on the hillside. And there's the next 24 hours. It'll be dropping into the 20s here by late this evening, and then only rising to 32 to 33 degrees tomorrow. So watch for those tough commuting conditions and give yourself that time tomorrow. Not a bad day tomorrow. We will see some sunshine, and then no sooner do we get used to that, and yet another system comes rolling in on us. So until we get the jet stream out of our neighborhood here, it's going to keep pushing one storm after another our way.
All right, we'll have to enjoy Friday then. Thanks, Tom.
Sure.
Well, an Anchorage fifth grader is now getting ready for the competition of a lifetime. William Nottingham will represent Alaska in the upcoming U.S. Figure Skating Championships.
A rare opportunity that took years of practice and determination. Anchorage 11 reporter Laura Oates spent the day with this young athlete and files this report tonight.
I like it when you go against the wind. The wind goes against you, you feel like you're free, sort of.
It's a feeling William Nottingham knows well. This 11-year-old spends most of his time on the ice, a place that holds his dreams and now his passion.
My goal is to be at least an Olympic champion, or at least to go and win nationals.
Lots of open ducks, okay? And flying camel.
That goal is now very realistic. Several winning seasons have landed him a coveted spot in December's national championship in Chicago. His coach, a one-time world champ, says this is only the beginning for William.
He can win Junior Olympics, and he can go on future, he can go on Olympic Games. Hi, Jim.
It's hard to believe that all of this talent cultivated in just 3 short years. A family fun day at the Diamond Center changed the Nottingham's life completely.
One of the coaches came to us and offered to start coaching him. So we have chose to give him 2 lessons a week.
So my mom decided to get me hockey skates. And Ann said, that's not the right skates to get him. I mean, get figure skates.
After a new pair of figure skates, the rest is history. William spends 8 hours a day, starting at 5 a.m. training. Training, he says, he never minds, because someday he hopes to bring home the gold. Laura Oates, Anchorage 11 News.
William just took home the first-place medal in a regional competition in Fairbanks. He was the unanimous choice by the judges. His coach tells us that is a very rare feat, and we will let you know how William fares in the Nationals this December. Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton have teamed up as outlaws on the big screen, but is it a good idea to give bandits your money?
Our movie critic has the answer next on Anchorage 11 News at 6, but first, here's a look at your statewide forecast.
Welcome back, everyone. This week on the big screen, our movie critic takes a look at Bandits, a new adventure comedy film starring Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton.
Here's Anchorage Press film critic Brenda Sokolowski's on the big screen review.
Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton make for an odd couple of outlaws when their bank robber characters hit the road. One's cool and collected, the other's an anxious twit. Romance even enters the picture when Kate Blanchett shows up. Let's take a look.
Kate, I ran out of gas. And she hit me with her car.
Okay. She hit you with her car. What the hell did you bring her out here for?
Well, 1, I had no choice. 2, I may have suffered a slight concussion. And 3, she's mentally unbalanced to a spectacular degree.
I can hear you. Thornton is the nebbish hypochondriac Terry, while ultra-cool Bruce Willis is Joe, the strong, silent type. There's humor to be found in their oddball pairing, for sure. Comparing Joe's sureness and determination with Terry's whiny anxiety. Together they make for a couple of humane and humorous heroes. Their Mutt and Jeff routine expands then to include a romance when a very winning Kate Blanchett shows up as Kate, a bored housewife who finds liberation and love when she joins the bank-robbing duo. As directed by Barry Levinson, the movie is, above all else, charming. It's also funny in places and romantic in others. It's nothing new, however. Imagine a less violent but more sexy Bonnie and Clyde combined with Frank Capra's It Happened One Night. In fact, Levinson steals the Walls of Jericho scene right out of Capra's film. While Bandits is at all times implausible, it's not hard to get into the light comic rhythm of the story. All three leads are amusing and charismatic, and the film is a feel-good adventure sure to leave audiences won over. It's worth the money. Other movies I've recently seen include The Deep End, a moody, beautifully shot film about all that a woman does to protect her family. That's worth the money. Serendipity is also worth the money, and Joyride is a wait for video. You can find the latest movie information in this week's Anchorage Press. Then join me right here next week for another look at what's new on the big screen.
Thank you, Brenda, and we'll be right back with the last check on the weather.
Stay with Anchorage 11 News at 6. And now for our last look at the weather, here's Tom once again.
Well, a little more snow tonight. There's an advisory out for 3 to 7 inches of town. I really think we'll see about 3 to 5 in town. Could see double that up on the hillside, particularly way up high. There's the 5-day forecast. It will get better tomorrow, but yet another storm comes at us for the weekend. So I hope you get those tires on by now.
It seems like winter is here early.
Well, I think it's actually because we had such a nice September that it just changed so suddenly. But this is actually a very normal October. This is the way it should be.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Sure.
And that's all the time we have tonight.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again at 10 o'clock.
Have a good evening.